Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Welcome to the 93rd episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. Never give up. Now, today's episode isn't going to be all rah, never give up. A little bit, yeah, it's just kind of who I am. But it's also going to include some stories that I've heard several times as an entrepreneur, a story from my daughter, and a story of my own experience in business. So let's dive on into why you shouldn't give up. So this story I've heard several times, and I feel like I've heard it so many times, I don't entirely know its origins, but I'm pretty sure it comes from Napoleon Hill, and it's a story about, I think they call it like 3 feet from the gold. And this story is along the lines of, it's back in the day during the gold rush. There's this young miner and he's mining away in his mine. He's mining, and he can't find gold. And he finally becomes frustrated and he thinks, this mine has no gold in it. I've been working so hard for so long. I'm just going to give up. This is ridiculous. So he ends up selling all of his equipment and his mine to some old guy, and he's like, yeah, whatever, that's all junk, I'm making a steal from this. And he just walks away and, thinking this guy, he just got a bunch of trash, right? So this person ends up going into the mine and they start mining. Just 3 feet later, gold. He made a lot of money in that gold mine. And I think the reason I really like that story is it's just a reminder that too many people give up right before the gold. They give up before they have success. Maybe they're guilty of side hustle hopping. You might relate to this. Maybe you start something, you feel like, well, this isn't working, and you switch to something else, and you think this isn't working. So when I first heard that story, it just really resonated with me, the importance of never giving up, recognizing that I'm so close to the gold. I'm so close, and sometimes I think of blogging. Sometimes blogging was such a long-term game, and I just had to remind myself, I'm like, nope, I know what's on the other side of this. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. And yeah, so I guess that's the first story I wanted to tell you is don't quit, because gold can just be a few feet away. Next story is from my daughter. So it is summertime, and now that I'm a full-time entrepreneur, I don't have my kids in summer program. So we have made every single Wednesday just like a fun day. My son, he's 11, he made a spreadsheet with every Wednesday during the month and a different activity we're going to do. Kind of like field trips if they were in an actual summer program. So our very first Wednesday, what we were doing was something called a park crawl. What's a park crawl? A park crawl is something my son and I made up 6 years ago. We ended up getting a brochure, like a trifold map of our local city of all the parks in the town of Medford. And we thought it would be fun to go to every single park in Medford. So we made a map, we made a plan, and we kind of did like the most logical order of like, okay, we'll start at this one and go to this one and go to this one. We had the map routed out. We had them numbered. I will add we were only going to parks with playgrounds because what little kid just wants to go to one of those parks with grass, right? So we were going to parks with playgrounds. And so we attempted this 6 years ago and we made it to 9 parks. And that was a lot for him. That is a lot of getting in the car, driving, getting out of the car, going to the park, like all the things. So we wanted to attempt it again. So I actually had a second map that I hadn't drawn on. There ended up being another park. So since the 6 years that we did it, a new park emerged in our town. So we now had 21 parks in one day. We made a map, we made a plan, and we were going to get there. And it was actually really fun. What we did was, our goal was, first thing we do is we go find the sign, or if there's no sign, just get a picture in front of the park. Social proof we were there. Then the kids would run around for 5 minutes. We'd hop back in the car, and on the drive, I had a little workbook. The kids would all rate how much they liked the park on a scale of 1 to 10, and they would note the pros and the cons, come up with the average score so they could rank them. And it was a fun activity where mom low-key snuck in some learning, right? But it was really, really fun. So I didn't think we were going to finish this, if I'm honest. If the past is any indication of the future, my daughter was about the age that my son was the first time we tried this, and the girl, she's going through a phase right now where anytime she's walking, she's like, I'm tired, I'm bored. So I was like, no way Emily's going to be able to do this. Gavin probably, he had a buddy with him, but I didn't think that we were going to be able to finish all 21 parks in one day. So sure enough, we're going along, and I'm like, I think we're going to do this. We're 4 hours in. We are 4 hours in, and we finally hit park number 20, and we are just one park away. You know, we take our picture, the kids run around, they have fun, they hop in the car, and I hear screaming. I turn around and I see that my daughter has closed the car door on her hand completely. So I have that moment of mom dread of, oh no, hop out of the car to go open the door. By the time I got there, my son had opened the door and she is screaming. I do my mom thing. I look at her hand. I realize, okay, the bone's not broken. Like she's okay. It's definitely discolored. It probably hurts. We had some watermelon in the car and like a little ice box. So I got some ice out and put her hand on ice, and she's crying. I'm comforting her. You know, I know, oh man, this is gonna hurt. It's just, you just gotta wait it out, right? And so I thought in that moment, I was like, okay, we either have to go home or, well, actually for a minute I thought we might have to go to their urgent care clinic until I was able to check her out and see she was okay. And so when she kind of calmed down, I was like, okay, Emily, you want to go home? And she said, no, Mom, I want to go to the last park. And she didn't say it as calmly as that. She was still crying and still in tears. And I was like, okay. So she was trying really hard not to cry. And then she was doing that. If you're a parent, you might know this, when they're crying so much, they start coughing because it's just, you know, so much. And she's trying so hard. She's putting on a brave face. The next park is only 3 minutes away. We drive to park 21. They get out. She's running around playing. She's kind of guarding her hand. But then that park we stayed at for 10 minutes. So we stayed a little longer for that one because it was like celebration, victory, we made it. And by the time we were done at that park, like, her hand wasn't even bugging her. She was just running around perfectly fine, you know, kind of hamming it up for pictures. And I just thought, man, what a wonderful story about not giving up. And it makes me think how a part of not giving up takes resilience. And that's what Emily had in that moment, was resilience not to give up. But it's more than that. It's also having a strong why. Emily wanted to complete this challenge. She wanted to make sure that she did those 21 parks in one day. And if we only did 20, she wouldn't have had those bragging rights, right? She knew what she was in for. But also, you know, to kind of give a different perspective, we had a goal in mind. 21 parks one day. We knew exactly what we wanted to do. We weren't just going to random parks. We also had a plan. We had a map. We knew exactly where we were going. So when it came to the point where she hurt herself, and yes, we could have gone home, we could have given up, she knew, I'm going to go back to the gold. She knew the gold was only 3 feet away. She knew that victory was only one park away. And because she had that plan and this, you know, this layout in front of her, she's like, no, Mom, I don't want to give up. I want to do this. So she knew how close she was to the gold. So I think a lot to be learned from little Emily and not giving up. I don't know if it was me. I probably would have been quite dramatic and been like, call my husband, I need to go to the doctor or something. I don't know. I find that the older I get, when I get hurt, I'm much more, I don't bounce back, I guess. You know, like in the past, I'd fall down and jump right up. I probably do that anymore. I fall down and jump back up just to like, oh, I hope no one saw me. But oh man, I get some bruises, I get sore. It's just one of those things. But Emily is okay. She's totally okay. And the kids were so proud. And I was so proud of them. I couldn't believe it. By the time we were done and got home, it took 4.5 hours. So, and I do believe this will be one of those experiences my kids will remember for the rest of their life. And it also makes me reflect and think, what a blessing. This is a Wednesday in June. This same time last year when I was a full-time employee, I would have been in an office for 10 hours. And here I am, like, making amazing memories with my kids. So I just want to give a shout out for how grateful I am to be a full-time entrepreneur, to have the time and financial freedom that I have, because it really is a blessing. Because things like a park crawl with my kids, like, those are the things in life that really matter and that are important to me. So last story. My last story about not giving up really has to do with my own program, of Blogging Accelerator program. And if you're not familiar with me and my story, my primary program is the Blogging Accelerator program. I help dietitians create blogs with the goal of bringing in multiple streams of passive income. So building a business based in blogging. That is my signature program. It's what I love to do. I've had over 130 dietitians and nutrition professionals through that program, and We aren't slowing down anytime soon. We are on a mission to take over the internet and create amazing passive income sources for dietitians. So that is what I do, right? That is one of the main things I do is Blogging Accelerator program. So thinking of the origins of Blogging Accelerator program, it started because I ended up working with a business coach. And at that time, I was doing this podcast, Dietitian Side Hustle, as a hobby. And I had my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian. When I met with this coach, Javier Carlin, for those of you who know Javi, I had to make a decision. Was I going to focus on the geriatric dietitian or dietitian side hustle? And I made the decision to focus on dietitian side hustle, and I wanted to help other dietitians have the success I had with my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian. So we worked together very quickly. I mean, this program came from idea to people enrolled in a month. It happened very quickly. And I think of the journey of how that came to be, because initially how I was going to get people in my program was I created a mini course. And some of you listening may have completed my mini course. It's the Dietitian Online mini course. And it is a mini course with short little modules that shows you all the cool things you can do for a side hustle. It goes over mindset. It talks about, multiple streams of income. It really just goes over how can you have success as a dietitian in online business. And at the end, for those who would be a good fit for blogging, there's an offer for a Blogging Accelerator program. So that was going to be how I got people in the program. Made this course very quickly, got it out. People were like, heck yes, I want a free mini course. Sent it out and was like, okay, people are going to join my program. No one joined my program. And what happened is I followed up with people and they're like, wow, thanks so much for this, mini course, Katie, but I haven't taken it yet. I haven't had time to watch all these modules, and it wasn't that long, but you know how we get busy. So in that moment, I could have just given up and been like, well, gave it a good try. I'm just going to move on my merry way. This just didn't work. Thanks for the help, hobby. But I will tell you guys, because I was working with a business coach, I pivoted. He helped provide guidance for me. And that's the thing, is when things don't work your way, you just have to continue to pivot and pivot and pivot until things work, if it's something you really want. So what I ended up doing is I took that mini course and I converted it into a 3-day challenge. And many of you have probably completed my 3-day dietitian side hustle challenge. I think sometimes I call it like the side hustle starter challenge. I give it kind of different names, but it's my 3-day challenge. And so I did that challenge and offered an incentive of, hey, if you finish the challenge, you'll be entered into a drawing to win my Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course valued at $349. And people were like, heck yes, I'm in. With that, it wasn't like, here's a course, you can do it whenever you want. It was live for 3 days and you have to watch it all in order to, get a chance to win some stuff. So we had people show up live. It was amazing. It was engaging because people showed up and watched the stuff. The people who were the right fit for Blogging Accelerator program were like, heck yes, I want in. So they ended up joining. And, I feel like the rest is history. I probably could tell lots of other stories within my business where I did something once and it didn't work. And had I given up, I want to be where I am today, pretty much is the answer. But thinking back specifically to Blogging Accelerator program in that one specific area, all I had to do was take something I already made and pivot and offer in a different way that was more meaningful to people so they could actually watch the content and realize, heck yes, I want to do this. So I think of, had I given up, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with over 130 dietitians and nutrition professionals. To this day, Blogging Accelerator program has made over $250,000. So I look at, gosh, don't give up. You're so close to gold. And for me, the gold has been so huge. Had I not started that program, I wouldn't have been able to build these amazing relationships with dietitians, helping them to get blogs online, helping them on this journey to build online businesses, being able to quit my full-time job, being able to be present with my kiddos and do a park crawl in the middle of the week. So I hope these stories are helpful to you, just to realize it's not just a cheesy rah, don't give up. It's a serious, if you have something you want, something on your heart that you truly want, it is possible and it is true, and you cannot give up on yourself, on the people you're going to impact, and just don't give up on your dreams, you guys. So if you're in the situation where maybe you feel like, gosh, I just want to give up. I feel like I've been doing the thing and it's just not working, or maybe Maybe you're going to listen to this now, and then later in the future, you'll be like, oh, I'm at that moment Katie was talking about of wanting to give up. Because sometimes if we put in our effort and we feel like what we're doing isn't working, it's frustrating. We're like, am I wasting my time? Who do I think I am to do this? Okay, yeah, Susie had success, but I'm never going to have success. And I'll tell you, if you see someone else who's doing something you want to do, you can do it too. They're just showing you it's possible, and there's zero reason that you can't too. But there's going to be some pieces that you're going to need to really focus on and do if you want to have success, to give you that resilience of not giving up. So how do you keep going? A few little tips on how to not give up. First off, you got to have clarity in where you're going. You have to have goals and create a plan on how you are going to get there. Your goal isn't just like, I'm going to make 6 figures. Okay, how are you going to do that? I don't know. I'm going to see patients. Okay, how are you going to get those patients? I don't know. I'm going to put a post on Instagram and people are going to come flooding in the doors. And, you guys probably know that's not how it works. And it would be wonderful if it worked like that. But we have to have goals, smart goals, guys. We know smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And not just a goal, but the steps, the action items on what we need to do to reach that goal. Now, depending on what you're doing, because I know in Dietitian Side Hustle, everyone has very different dreams and visions with what you're doing, whether or not it is starting a side hustle, building out your side hustle, adding a new income stream. Maybe your goal is to become a full-time entrepreneur. Maybe you're already a full-time entrepreneur and you just want to add an income stream. Maybe you're a student and you just want to be inspired. Whatever your reason for being here, whatever your goals are, you guys, you just have to make sure that in addition to having clarity in what you want to do, having a goal, having plans, you also need to have the right tools and resources to reach those goals, right? I think sometimes there's this temptation of, I'm just going to figure everything out on my own. I'm just going to do stuff the free route. And unfortunately, what often happens is you go down the wrong rabbit hole. And at that point, you're just frustrated. You're like, this is never going to work. And you're either going to have to pay money to undo the hole that you dug, or you're just going to give up on your dreams and say, see, I gave it a try. It never worked. But you just didn't have the right tools and resources to do what you need to do. I mean, my biggest advice, you guys, if you see someone doing what you want to do, learn from them. You're going to learn from their successes, from their failures, and it's going to fast track you to having the success that you want. But that often comes with investment of time, investment of finances, of energy, and lots of things. But that is one piece of advice I will always give, is look for someone who is successfully doing what you want to do and work with them. Now, it's not just having clarity in what you want to do, having goals, having plans, tools, resources. You also got to have the right mindset. You guys have heard me say mindset is everything. My journey from, updating papers, doing freelance writing on the side, to starting my blog, to starting Dietitian Side Hustle, to starting blogging Accelerator program, to working with a business coach, to leaving my full-time job, to being a full-time entrepreneur. I didn't work. I'm using air quotes for those of you listening on the podcast. If you're on YouTube watching this, you probably see my air quotes. But, I went on a tangent and I forgot what I was talking about. Why was I air quoting, guys? This is one of those moments in my podcast that I'm just not going to edit. If you haven't heard, my podcast is my practice in imperfection, and sometimes my brain just goes blank on me and we just roll with it. I know I'll listen back to this and be like, oh, why do you forget that, Katie? It doesn't matter. I guess I just got excited and wanted to let you guys know that I'm on YouTube as well, because I know most people are listening to the podcast. A few of you are watching on YouTube, and I love it when you comment. If you aren't on YouTube, go check it out. Like, subscribe, comment. It always helps to, grow the YouTube channel. But anyways, I apologize for getting off that tangent I was on. But I know I was talking about the importance of mindset and how mindset is everything. Oh, it came back. A big part of me thinks I should edit this out, but I'm not going to. Okay, so the air quotes were because I didn't work harder. So as I moved along in my business, I wasn't working harder, and that's where the air quotes are. Meaning I wasn't hustling, I wasn't grinding, I wasn't burning myself out, I wasn't grinding the midnight oil, I wasn't working harder. I was changing my mindset. I was changing my mindset and my belief in what was possible. I was changing how I was doing things. I was changing my pricing structures. I was changing how I was serving people. And it was my mindset that got me from side hustler to full-time entrepreneur. or whatever I call myself. So you guys, mindset really is everything, because you could have a plan as far as like, here's where I want to go. Here's what I need to do to get there. Here's some tools and resources. But if you don't believe you can do it, you guys, you're going to be right. If you believe you could do it no matter what, you're also right. So you have to work on your mindset. There's lots of tools and resources. A good place to start is Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's a wonderful book. You can listen to it on Audible or buy the real deal. It's relatively inexpensive on Amazon pretty consistently. I'll check out there occasionally. It's like less than $10 for this book. So I highly recommend the book Mindset if you haven't read it. And then there's one last thing for how to keep going, how to not give up on your dreams. And that is community. Surrounding yourself with the right community who's going to build you up and believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. They are going to be the ones who help you to remove your limiting beliefs. Because what I've come to learn, you guys, as much as I talk about mindset and how important the mindset journey is, we can't really do mindset all on our own, because sometimes those limiting beliefs that we have within us, we don't see them. We don't see them at all. It is other people around us who are like, what are you talking about? That's not true. And they can lovingly pull down those limiting beliefs that we have in our mind. For me, a huge limiting belief was that I couldn't leave my full-time job. Now, I had a lot of excuses on why I couldn't leave my full-time job. And I look back now and I laugh because I'm like, well, that was silly. But in my head, they were like, legit, I cannot leave my full-time job. Let me tell you about how much money I am paid, my pension, my life or my health insurance. I'm like, my family is a high utilizer of health insurance, and we can't like every single can't that I had, my mastermind friends lovingly removed that limiting belief. They're like, Katie, you can buy your own insurance. I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. So, that's the wonderful thing about community, is they can see in you what you can't see in yourself. And you can do a lot of mindset work, and probably over time, you can start to see and recognize those limiting beliefs. But man, having the right community around you, they can see those. They see in you what you can't see in yourself. And if you believe in your community and you trust your community, you trust that they're right. And you lean on them until your own mindset catches up and you start believing in yourself. So I feel like I've gone on a journey with this little podcast episode of not giving up. We talked about the story of the gold miner who gave up, right? He gave up. He thought this mine was worthless. He sold his mine dirt cheap, and then someone else got it. 3 feet in, they found the gold. Yay for them. And just that concept of too many people are giving up right before gold. We talked about my daughter and the resilience she had in not giving up, even though she just squished her fingers in the door like it closed all the way. She didn't want to give up because she had a clear plan and path on where she was going. And she knew, I just have one more part to go, and then I can say, I did it. So she didn't want to give up. She had resilience. And then we talked about my own blogging accelerator program and even those little hiccups I had when I first launched my program, on how, like, man, had I just given up, had I not pivoted or twisted, blogging accelerator program wouldn't be here today. I don't know if I'd be here today talking to you guys. I'm not quite sure what direction I would have gone had I not, created this brand and this business that I've continued to build. So don't give up, guys. Do not give up, because you are so close to the gold. If you are struggling and you need help with keeping going, just make sure you take some time to reflect and clarity. What are you doing? Where are you going? Create those goals, have the tools, the resources, work on your mindset, have the community, because everything you want is possible. I am currently living in my dreams, and it is so surreal. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it too. Now, I do have a few resources. If you go to katiedodd.com, there's some free resources for you, ways that we could work together. So if you're like, okay, yeah, I need more help, I want to do this, you can go there and you can get the link to my dietitian online mini course, which has lots of information in it. I've got my blogging as a business on-demand webinar, information about how we potentially could work together. So go to katiedodd.com, and it's kind of like my Linktree page. If you've ever seen a Linktree page on Instagram, it's just like all the ways we can work together. So thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have such an amazing day. And remember, don't give up.